guys, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a bit of an experiment. So, what I'm going to be doing is news just come out of sanctions for Man City. Potential sanctions of Man City because they have breached FFP rules 100 times. Now, I don't know what the sanctions are going to be, but based on previous sanctions, it could even be relegation, such as Juventus experienced a few years ago. So what I'm going to do, this is a bit of an experiment of them in the Championship. Now, obviously, looking at this, Media Dream 11, entirely their squad, my hope is, by them being in the Championship, it will have an impact, because what this will mean, they won't get enough revenue, they cannot afford to keep half of their players. I have still got them in the the Champions League, so they are still in the Champions League, but division-wise they are now in the Skybet Championship. Money-wise, they shouldn't get as much, so maybe they'll need to sell players, maybe they'll need to rebuild entirely. We'll see sort of how they do with that. It could even mean Pep leaves, could mean all their key players leave and they just have to go through youth. We'll see what this means for them, and obviously they'll probably get promoted this season. We'll see then how they do in the Prem going forward. So I'm going to simulate the first year, and then we'll see how Man City have done. Hello, and welcome to the end of season number 1. Let's get into it and see how they've done. I can see from there they still kept quite a few players, and they won the league. They lost 2 games in West Brom and Norwich. 130 points that you have to assume would be a record. But they actually won 43 games. That is incredible. Let's have a look how they did in any other competitions. So schedule. Okay, so they won the FA Cup and lost in the final of the Champions League. So they still went a run on there. Did they sell any players? So, did they bring anyone in? I believe that they brought in Marino, Gonzalez, and Galan, which is mad they can still attract these players in the Championship, but still a big club. Did they sell anyone? Right, so Kyle Walker looks like he was the only real sale to Liverpool. Other than that, doesn't look like they've done a lot of sales. No, it doesn't look like they did. So they didn't really impact them too much. Pep's still the manager. They've still got pretty much their full 11. So it doesn't look like it hit them too much, which is a bit of a shame. But maybe they saw it as a 1-year gap year. Let's see how they do now next season. They've got no Europe to contend with, so they've got no Europe. They're just going to be straight in the Prem. Let's see how they do over the next few years. What I am going to do this time is I'm going to simulate another 4 years to make it to the 5-year point, and then we'll look back and see what they've done. Hello guys, I have simulated another 2 seasons to see basically what happens with Man City and how they get on. So let's go to England and go to the Premier League. Oh. Well, that's disappointing. As you can see there, champions last season Man City, champions this season Man City, 88 points, only 6 losses. Let's go stages. Last season, 88 points, so 88 points for the last 2 seasons. So Football Manager seems to think this hasn't impacted or won't impact them at all. Let's have a look if they've got anything else. So they lost in the FA Cup final, lost in the Champions League round of 16. But they never tend to do well in the Champions League anyway. Carabao Cup final, lost in the Carabao Cup final. Last season, they lost in the quarter-final of Champions League, the FA Cup semi-final, and they lost in the Carabao Cup 4th round. Okay. Let's have a look at their transfers just to see if there's anything that's really changed here. So it was this season. Okay, first season. The only out I saw initially was Kyle Walker, and then they sold Rodri for £184 million to PSG. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but 184 million? was any... Just literally a flat 184 million. That is absolutely ridiculous. I highly doubt we'll ever see that for a defensive midfielder in real life, 184 million. I hope we won't see that for many players. Maybe, obviously, I think Neymar's the only one who's gone over it, so that is a wild, wild fee from Foot Manager. The second season, the only transfer they brought in was Wilfred Singo. Really good young player, good pace, good strength, quite well rounded. I have experience with him in Foot Manager. He's a very good player. But let's have a look at his transfers. So, is there any sales? Bustos gone on loan. Mahrez for 11.25 to Leipzig. Loan. Howard Bellis loan. Looks like that is genuinely it. So their second season with no Europe. That is how they did. Third season, so the third and final season, Marcus Edwards came in for 34.5. Guessing that Morris replacement Joe Gomez came in for 24. Bit of a wide range there, 38 to 115 million. So, don't know what's happening there. And there's 69 million for Buendia. Now valued at 51 to 154 million, so again another wide range. Transfers, Sergio Gomez went to Atlanta for 16.5. Bustos went for 5.5, and that looks like it's it for the outs. A couple of loans here and there, but Football Manager seems to think any relegation will not hurt Man City at all. What do you guys think? I think this may be a bit unrealistic. I'd like to say, even if, obviously, they don't get a transfer ban in the Championship, players won't necessarily stay. Like, there may be some that will be loyal to them, but I don't think their entire squad would be loyal to them in the Championship, would waste an entire year in the Championship, and then another year with no European football. I don't think City could afford it. I don't think any club, with the wage bill they've got, could afford one season in the Championship and another season without Europe. I think that would hurt any club too much to be able to do, even if you get high financial revenue. So I think this might be unrealistic. What do you guys think? How will a relegation hurt Man City? Do you actually think they'll get relegated, or what do you think the results of the current speculation will be? Let me know in the comments below. I don't think we're going to do another 2 seasons just because they have literally gone back to what they were doing before, literally straight away. So I don't think another 2 seasons is going to really impact them. So I will leave it there. That's been sort of the experiment. These are Foot Manager's thoughts. What do you guys think? Thank you. Goodbye.